was actually going to ask, was there any time on your first deployment, a moment of where either one of you got really just overwhelmed, thinking to yourself, I can't do this, it's not worth it? And if so, like, kind of what was it, and then how did you overcome it? Because obviously you both did, which is great.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like there would be...
Yeah, I will say, I mean, yeah, even though I was overwhelmed, there wasn't about to be I can't do this. I was going to find a way through. If anything, if it gets to that point, just take pictures of everything. I mean, if you really feel you can't do it, just take pictures of everything, and you can bring it back to your support, and they can help you, kind of get through it. But yeah, as far as just going out there saying you can't do it, I don't do that.
Yeah, I'd say it was a moment where my trainer, and see, that's the beautiful thing about working with CNC. You get trainers when you go out into the field the first time. But when I think we climbed, I think it was like a 9-12 pitch roof, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now that I've been on a few different roofs, like 9-12 is not that steep. But we was up there, and he was like, you're going to have to get your roofing legs, man, because if you can't climb this, you're not going to stay out here that long. And I'm literally up there like, I'm looking around like, man, I don't want to die. Like, oh, my God, I'm going to fall. And I saw him just walking around the roof like it's nothing. But it was at that moment for me, because I was like, man, I like a challenge, and I don't like failure. I don't like to fail. And so when he told me that, I was like, okay, because that was actually the last inspection that he went out with me on. And so after that, it was just like every time I come to a steep roof, I just remember what he said, like, hey, you're going to go home if you can't, because this is your job to climb these roofs. And so for a while there, I was kind of contending with heights and falling off roofs and stuff like that, which is, it should be in the back of everybody's mind, don't fall off this roof. But it's just a simple fact that your job is to inspect these houses and everything. And so that comes with it, getting on, steep roofs and everything. So yeah, that was definitely a big one.
Was there ever a point in you were just homesick, or did you just tell yourself, this is only temporary?
Yeah,
and be done
all the time.
Homesick, because you had a new one at home, right?
I had
a little one.
Yeah, a little one. Yeah, my son was born in late May, and I was deployed September. So it was times where I'm out there, I'm Justin, and you're there to do a job, but you also connect with the insureds that you're dealing with. And so just in having those conversations, and, you get to talking about kids, and then I'm showing them my kid. I'm just like, and then I literally cried with one lady. Like, yeah, she was like, oh, he's so cute, this and that. I said, yeah, I'm out here for him. And but something, I did not feel bad, because you know why? Because I knew what I was there for, and that was my motivating factor. But it will get to the point where you're like, is this what I need to be doing? Am I missing out? Am I? But at the end of the day, we're doing this to better and further our families and stuff. So
right,
yeah, it definitely is. It's very easy to get homesick, especially when you're somewhere far away, and you can't necessarily just make that quick trip home. For example, it just so happened that we were in Baton Rouge this time, and being that we're from Mobile, Baton Rouge to Mobile, that's 2.5 hours away. So, I mean, even though this should have been the furthest thing from my mind, I was able to, get from Baton Rouge to Mobile just to go and say hello to the family, provided that I was, ahead on my claims, everything was done, I had that time to actually get away, I could do that. But let's just say that, I was in, New York or something like that. Can't make that drive. So
thank goodness for technology nowadays, right?
Yeah, you can FaceTime and everything. A lot of people are going to say, oh, yeah, that's not necessarily the same as actually being there. But, homesickness, that's definitely one of those things. I mean, that is one of the potential cons of being an adjuster. But at the same time, I mean, do the pros outweigh the cons? Are you doing what you need to do? Are you getting what you need to get, from this job, so that, you can be happy in those times where you actually are.
And you've got to be able to justify it, right? Like, for instance, me having a fiance, having a newborn, at first, from her perspective, it wasn't justifiable. You need to be home with us, the distance and everything.
She just wanted some help with that baby.
She wanted some help, and, postpartum deal, emotions and everything. And it was very, very difficult, communicating and all that kind of stuff. And I'm working 12 hours, 7 days a week. And, knowing that there's nothing I can do. I'm here. I'm trying to, make something happen, right? Luckily, she's from Louisiana, from New Orleans, and she had family that I could stay with, right? And so there's that connection. And then not only that, there was a situation where she was like, forget this, I'm coming down. I'm coming down with you. And I was, at first I was like, man, but I'm trying to focus on work and everything. But it turned out to be the best thing ever because,
that work-life balance.
That work-life balance,
favor.
I saw that, hey, I can do both. I can have her here and still focus and prioritize work as well. And that kind of helped my home, you know what I mean? And not only that, once the deployment was over and I got a chance to show her, that bank statement, it made it all worth it then,
Right.
So yeah.
So talking about, pros and cons, and, you get homesick, you kind of get tired of being out, and you saying you got to talk to the insureds.
Yeah.
Was there ever a moment where it just takes a mental toll? Like if you're, dealing with people who've had major loss, and so they may not be in a really good mental state,
Right.
either aggravated. I know customer service is a huge factor when it comes to adjusting.
Yeah.
How do you handle, I'll probably be crying with the insurers too, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
So how do you handle that aspect of the job, like dealing with insureds who may either, be very upset or angry, because customer service is huge.
Yeah, of course. For me personally, I'd say, you kind of have to be able to detach yourself, emotionally. And I hate to say it like that, but, you are there to be professional. You are there to do a job. So it's kind of just like, yeah, you have to understand you're dealing with somebody who has just, potentially just lost their entire house. But at the same time, you have to be yeah, I guess
you want to empathize with them.
Yeah, you want to empathize, but you still need to be, solid. You can't really just be breaking down. And,
That's why I'm not an adjuster.
Yeah. And, me personally, I feel that I'm pretty good for just, being solid in a situation such as that. But at the same time, you do have to, be empathetic. And, it's a fine line. It's a fine line. You just kind of have to be able to assess the situation and, deal with it accordingly.
Yeah, definitely got to remain professional. I know for me, coming out of law enforcement, I have dealt with a ton of, very high stress situations, especially when it comes to, someone losing a loved one, just tragedies in general. And, one thing I've always learned is that you treat people how you want to be treated. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I took on the perspective of I'm going to treat you like family. I'm very sorry for, your loss in your property and everything like this, but I'm going to do everything I can to ensure that you get what you're owed. And so usually when you handle insureds with that respect and that regard, they usually, they're very appreciative. So, but at the same time, like Will said, if you're a very emotional person and you get attached a lot to, situations like that, then it is good to kind of create some kind of professional barrier there to protect yourself as well, because you also have your own day-to-day stress that you got to deal with. So you just have to know yourself, and don't be afraid to talk to one another, because you're going to be deployed on a team type deal. But you have to be able to lean on people, your community and everything like that. And so,
have y'all had any experiences where you were on a working a claim and you just kind of in hindsight you're like, ooh, don't do that again? Or have you made any mistakes that you have learned from not to do?
Okay, I was about to say, I don't necessarily think I made any mistakes, but I will say that I had to deal with, an unhappy policyholder. For example, a lot of the people out in Louisiana that were saying that, I've had, a contractor come out here and tell me, I have a whole lot of roof damage. I need to have a new roof immediately. And it's just kind of like, well, okay, let's get up there and see what's actually going on. So I got up on top of this one guy's roof, and he said, of course, I had two contractors come out or whatever. I looked at his roof, and, there's a set of characteristics that I'm actually looking for that, I have to be like, okay, well, this qualifies as damage. And those characteristics, they weren't there on that roof. So I get down and I tell him, I'm just like, well, yeah, you do need a new roof, but unfortunately, it's not going to be covered, based on, what we're looking at. Oh man, that guy was livid. He immediately was just like, oh, I'm gonna sue, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. The guy even went as far as pulling his phone out and taking a picture of me, and I'm just kind of like, boy, so they're probably gonna put me on social media or whatever.
You definitely got to watch what you say around insurers.
But I mean, I was just being straightforward and honest, because it's just like, look, this is the expectation. The expectation was not met. The policy is not a maintenance policy. This policy is, for sudden and accidental damage, and that's not what this is. Mm-hmm. So, I was honest, and I wasn't wrong in what I said, but, he was unhappy, and some of the things that you got to deal with.
Dealing with insurers definitely take a certain element of finesse when it comes to how you want to describe your findings and kind of describe what's there. You kind of, like Will was saying, you kind of want to stick to what the damages are and not necessarily what the, your roof needs to be replaced type deal, because, this is an industry where if you make promises, if you make statements, it can and will be used against you in the court.
They're going to remember
it. So I guess instead of saying, a mistake, just make sure that you don't say stuff like that, if that makes sense. Yeah, don't be overzealous. Don't make any promises that you can't keep.
Because they'll remember.
Yeah, they
will remember.
Said.
That's exactly what you get. And just rolling into that, like a lot of times you'll get claims that other adjusters have handled, and when you get there, you're coming there with fresh eyes. My job is to go back through this inspection from the beginning to the end. And sometimes they'll be like, well, this adjuster said this, and and why can't I do that? He said, I'm just like, he didn't tell you the right thing. I'm sorry. But you just have to be able to manage and deal with those insurers like that. Mm-hmm.
So maintaining a professionalism should definitely be a characteristic of having, if you lose your cool easily, you need to get that in check before you go on.
Absolutely.
Deployment.
Yeah, you shouldn't be yelling and screaming with an insurer about it.
No. If anything, let them scream at you, and you just go on to your next place.
Because just like you said, this is 100% customer. I didn't know just how much customer service this was until I got here. Like I thought, working at fast food and stuff like that was customer service. This is customer service to the max.
Yep. And that's something that you cannot be taught.
You cannot be taught that at all. Yeah.
And so, because you're out there, you're talking to the insured or the policyholder, you're meeting with them face to face, right?
Yep. Sometimes you meeting their kids, so you're meeting their whole family, and you're coming into their space, and you've definitely got to be courteous and professional at all times. Yeah. So
what would you think are the biggest cons of getting into this profession versus like the pros of it,
Yeah. I think, just the uncertainty of it all is probably the number one con, because you don't know how long a deployment will last. Like, me and Will's first deployment we got sent on got canceled while we was en route up there. So we're 2 days into a trip going up to Connecticut to PA, and we get turned around. So that uncertainty. And then, two, if you don't invest enough time in your training and just have that adjuster mindset when you get out there and get deployed, you're thinking that this is going to be, the job for you, and you got all these plans and you want to do this, you want to do that. And then you get sent home 2 weeks in because you're not keeping up, so that could be a huge con. So,
either that or the work just dries up. That's one thing. The work's not always consistent. And I will say, just from talking to people out in the street, they'll be like, oh, I did get my license to be an adjuster and everything, but, I got tired of waiting, or, I didn't like the fact that, I would only go to work for a week or two or maybe 2 months or 3 months or whatever. And then it's just like I'm sitting here, waiting on my next opportunity. That's probably one of the biggest cons, just from hearing from other people, for one. But, even for myself, look, we just worked 2 months out in Baton Rouge, but, I'm working now, but it's not necessarily that same kind of work that I was doing out there. I went from one type of pay to another type of pay,
Right.
And, I'm glad to still be working, but at the same time, it's just like, well, I want to make that year round, but, that's just not what it is.
Yeah. Can't predict storms. So
right.
Can't predict storms, yeah. But, it's all about what you make it. So, to roll into the pros, it's man, the we all in this business for money. Obviously,
Yeah.
we're not just doing this for free. But the pros when you are out and deployed, and you are making money, and you know how to budget and all that kind of stuff, you can do a lot. You can do it. You can make, like, for instance, I made my salary as a police officer in 2.5 months, 3 months. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's one of those deals where the pros is financial freedom.
Yep.
And then the ability to travel, to see different parts of the United States.
Man, these deployments are adventures. That was one thing
Absolutely.
that I really loved about getting started into this. It felt like everything was an adventure. Every day was an adventure. It wasn't wake up and go to my desk like my first job was.
Yeah. Dude, I feel like I know Louisiana very intimately now.
Man,
like, I'm not gonna lie to you.
New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Lake Charles, all of it.
It got to a point where I just stopped using my GPS. Like, I just knew where I was. I said, how did I get here? I was like, I just knew. I didn't even use my GPS. Yeah. So you definitely get a chance to learn it. Different states, different areas, and everything, and what even on our failed deployment to Connecticut.
Man, let me tell you about that one. So we were going all the way up to Pennsylvania or whatever. We ended up stopping in North Carolina the night before because we wanted to break up the drive. So we kept driving the next day, and we made it to Washington D.C. And that's when we got the call. It was just like, oh, okay, you guys are being turned around or whatever. Let me see, what time was it when we got that call? It was probably about like 3 o'clock.
It was probably about 3 o'clock,
something like that. So it was just kind of like, well, what do we do now? So we
decided, let's go get scooters.
We got scooters, and we just rode around D.C. Basically made it an adventure. We even messed around and got lost because we had forgot where we parked our truck. My truck and his car. It was
okay. Dude, where's my car? Like,
So we're all over at the Washington Monument. What else is out there? The Lincoln Memorial.
We was all over.
We made it fun. We're eating at these nice restaurants. Trying new food. So it was just kind of like,
So this biz, it gives you an opportunity to do things that you would never probably do. Because I had been planning to go to Washington, D.C. forever, but I was just like, I was scared.
Never got to go, but now look, works into
right. Exactly.
And that's a great example of how you took something that some people would have looked at very negatively about this business.
And people did.
Like, I've invested this money, I'm all the way up here, and now you're telling me I'm not going to work. I feel like that would, and y'all use that and be like, well, we're here, let's seize the moment.
Let's just seize the moment.
Versus, just kind of head drop, this isn't for me.
And then while I was up there playing, CNC gave us another opportunity while I was up there. So it's just one of those things where, you just have to, like you said, seize every opportunity. Don't say no to anything. If somebody's offering you work or an opportunity to do something, then you do it.
And I think that would go back to what you originally said, do your research. With this business, there's no guarantee when you'll get deployed.
That's right.
How long you're going to be deployed.
Yeah.
And then, I guess the pay structure, that all factors into it too.
Right.
So it sounds like really there's more pros than there are cons, as long as you have the work-life balance, which you made work for you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I'll say something else. I feel like the pros get better with time. You also have to remember when you're new, you're just starting out. You might not have the resources. You might not have the money. To do what these veteran adjusters are doing.
Low man on the totem pole.
Right, exactly. So it's like let's say you get in 5 years and you're running well, maybe not even 5 years, maybe a year or two. I don't know. It just depends. But you get to that point where you can start doing daily claims. You don't have to wait on a deployment. You have 20 licenses and you can go to Arizona or something like that, and you can do that kind of work. Since we're talking to new people, please realize, at the beginning, it might not be the best, but I don't even want to say it won't be the best. Just know that it gets better.
Is there anything else y'all want to add to this, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So now that we become, the unemployed to the employed, new adjusters not knowing which way to go to, all right, we got a sense of direction here. I printed off. My thing is when you get into an industry, you want to always make sure that you're keeping up with what's going on within that industry and everything. And so I always try to figure out how I can be better and kind of what's, kind of what the expectation is for adjusters and everything. And I was reading an article and I just wanted to share a little bit here. And basically it's about what the Louisiana lawmakers outlined what their complaints were with insurance companies and everything, because I feel like as adjusters we should keep up with that kind of stuff. You know, not only what are the insurers saying, but what do the lawmakers think, and then you know how is the insurance business kind of adjusting to that. And I had here some of the responses were that slow responses to damage claims was an issue. You know, constant switch up, and you know this is their words: constant switch up of insurance adjusters assessing the damages. You know, and for new adjusters, what that means is basically, you know, if you've got a swath of new adjusters that comes in that aren't prepared, that hadn't done their training, that don't necessarily know, you know, the business and you know what it takes to really be a successful adjuster, is where you get sent home 2 weeks in. Okay, all your claims has to go somewhere. Someone has to work those, and so that's where you see that constant switch up of adjusters. And so, you know, and even to low payment of claims, right? You know, you get, you know, people that come in that hadn't done training, don't know, you know, what's all damage, what all goes into it. You know what I mean? And so you end up having to make supplements, or you may have just dissatisfied customers, right? This is a customer service business, so you want to make sure that, you know, you're for one, you're paying what you owe them because you are a professional adjuster and you have to go out and adjust that claim. But two, you know, you want to make sure that, you know, when you leave there, your customers are satisfied, you know.
And that's also interesting because, you know, you're talking about the state of Louisiana, who has just been, you know, ravaged by storms.
That's
you know,
right.
You have to remember, you know, they got hit by Laura. They got hit by Delta.
Yeah.
They got hit by Zeta.
Yeah.
What else did they get hit by?
Back to back.
Yeah, those are 3 storms, but I want to say there was one more, but I can only think of those 3.
Yeah. And so let me just say this. So one of the senators, now this is his own experience, right? Says he's been waiting 90 days to get a payment offer. Ooh. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that he outlined was that just not knowing, you know, is worse than anything. You know, not knowing if he's going to get paid, not going to get paid. So that's why, and I just wanted to share that because.
Now, is that from lack of the adjuster, like touching base with him?
Well, see, that's the thing. You know, it could be anything, but as an adjuster, you want to make sure that this isn't you. This isn't on you, right? You know, you want to make sure that, you know, when you step into this industry, this business, that, you know, you are, you know, doing the research, getting the training, coming out and actually sticking with it, you know, because, you know, these are people's lives that you're dealing with. And then not only that, the companies that you're working for, you know, they need you to be accountable. They need you to be there and professional. Because this is a whole lot bigger than just, you know, a job that's going to pay you X amount of dollars, you know, to come out and work. Like this is serious business. Right. Because think about it. Let's say that had been you and your roof had been blown off. You're going to want that $20,000 or whatever it may cost to get that roof put back on your house immediately. You don't want to wait 90 days. You don't want to wait 10 days. Well, I mean, you might have to wait 10 days, but, you know, you don't want to wait. You know, you want that money. You want to know that, okay, I've got the security that, you know, my stuff will be repaired. Because, you know, that's another thing. A lot of people were getting upset. You know, it's just kind of like, you know, I've been paying my insurance, you know, on time, you know, for 30, 40 years, and now you can't get me my money if you're giving me any money at all, you know, within, you know, this allotted time frame. So, that's and see, that's
very important.
Yeah, that's a good thing about CNC, though, altogether. Just as much training that we put on here, you know, I think that we, you know, obviously have a unique position with, you know, being, you know, a family-ran firm that, you know, quality over quantity type deal. You know, we want to be able to create an impact in this industry, you know, unlike any other firm out there, where we're not getting these kind of complaints. You know what I mean? So
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I've definitely learned a lot, you know, from y'all's perspective, and, you know, I hope everyone that listens, you know, has gotten some information. And I know there's still tons of, you know, topics out there that can be covered too. You know, we only touched on field deployments. Yeah. You know, so there's a vast variety of things. But I definitely appreciate y'all's time today, and we enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
Enjoyed you too.
Here. Yeah.
All right. Hey, if you're a new adjuster out there, come to CNC.